Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, January the 19th. This is the first meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee of the House for 2022. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Representatives Beck, Campbell, Dixie, Doggett, Farmer, Griffey, Hardaway, Hawk, Howell, Halsey, Lamar, Lamberth, Moody, Russell, Sherrill, Vice Chairman Sexton, Chairman Curcio.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Members, welcome back. Hope everybody had a good holiday. We weren't. I was going to say good time off, but I feel like we've been here consistently throughout the year. But hope you all had a good holiday season and New Year. Any personal orders before we get started? Chairman Doggett, I was going to see if you'd know this, but have you seen a picture of Mount Rushmore before it was carved?
You know, Chairman, I have seen some rocks out there in that part of the country that I believe was Mount Rushmore.
Before it was carved.
Are you thinking maybe there was a likeness of myself on that?
I was just going to remark that it was unprecedented.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Sorry. Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman.
GA, you'll get that one later. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Chairman Doggett, you're recognized.
Thank you. That have you been hanging out with Representative Halsey lately? That sounds like one of those that come out of his book.
That's right.
He's learning well. They're good.
All right. Now that I've just totally started us on the wrong foot. Members, we do have a calendar in front of us. But for anybody following along at home, item number 2 on your calendar, House Bill 1323, that was by our own Representative Hardaway, but he requested to take that bill off notice. And so without objection, House Bill 1323 off notice. That brings us back to item number 1, House Bill 0666 by our good friend Chairman Wendell. Chairman Wendell, you are recognized. Sir, you have a motion. I've not heard a second. Sir, you have a second. You're recognized.
That may result in some relief for those who could benefit from medical cannabis in Tennessee, and that's ongoing. And with that in mind, I ask you to move this bill to the final calendar.
The member has requested this be moved to the final calendar, but before we take action on that request, Chairman Halsey, you're recognized.
It might be a good idea, for success' sake, to change the number of the bill.
Excellent suggestion, Chairman Wendell.
I'll defer to Jerry Sexton.
Okay. Representative Sexton, your name was called.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your name is Mark.
Correct.
Right. I don't know. I think there's a correlation between 6'6" and a Mark. I'll leave it at that.
Next on my list, I have Representative Hardaway. You're recognized.
Thank you. Order of the day here. I want to thank the gentleman for bringing the bill. And Mr. Chairman, this is an issue that deserves full vetting, and I'm assuming that this committee will make sure that the bill is heard, the witnesses are heard, and that we weigh that information that comes before us carefully. I've on more than one occasion had interactions with citizens who have found relief from nothing else except this, and from everything from veterans to citizens with sickle cell anemia. So I thank the gentleman, and I look forward to engaging you when you present the bill to the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Hardaway. Chairman Wendell.
I'd just like to finish up introducing my intern for the year, Mr. Joseph from Clarksville, and we're glad to have him with us. And also, Isabella from Harpeth Hall. And thank you for...
Welcome. Thank you all for being here. We'll have to find you a different member to walk around with. So no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Thank you, sir. Oh, yes, Representative Griffey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Representative Wendell, Chair Wendell. I appreciate the thought into this bill. However, I would just encourage you and my fellow members to consider my House Bill 1634, which I still don't have a Senate sponsor for just yet, that would put 3 questions to the voters of Tennessee, whether they want us to legalize medical marijuana, whether they want us to decriminalize small possession amount of marijuana less than an ounce, and whether they want Tennessee to legalize and regulate the commercial sales of recreational marijuana. I personally don't feel comfortable voting on a marijuana bill until I have the voice of the people telling us what we want to do. I don't trust ballot polling because anyone that runs a poll, it seems who's ever paying for the poll, they get the results they want or something. So I think putting something like that to the actual voters and letting the voters tell us what they would like Tennessee, what direction they want Tennessee to move, I think is a smart move. Reasonable minds can differ. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Thank you, Representative Wendell.
Thank you, sir. And next on my list, I have Leader Lamberth. You recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman, thank you for giving us all time to continue to evaluate this issue. I think that's an extraordinarily wise move. There is a Cannabis Commission report that was issued just a couple of days ago. In fact, I think it was just last week that was announced on the floor. I would encourage all members that are interested to go ahead and look at that work. It seemed to be kind of a preliminary work, but there is an ocean of material out there on this subject. And I know you, sir, as the sponsor of this bill, have looked at much of that and the scientific studies and what other states have done. And we've got a lengthy year ahead of us, and I anticipate there'll be multiple bills on this. Having this on the last calendar to keep it in the conversation, again, I appreciate that wise move and would just say at the beginning of this year, thank you, sir, for your advocacy for veterans in the community, which is, I know from our conversations, why you brought this bill to begin with, which is just to try to help veterans in whatever way you could. So thank you.
And I'm willing to defer to the Cannabis Commission, and I'm hoping that something comes from that. And this is not a negative comment on my part, but I really don't believe a quadriplegic who can't use his or her limbs, arms or legs as a result of a combat-related injury in the service of this country is a threat to our community if they're using THC.
Thank you, Chairman Wendell. Members, you've heard the request to move this to the final calendar without objection. House Bill 0666 by Chairman Wendell is moved to the final calendar.
Thank you.
Members, that concludes our business. I have Representative Hawk. You recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and great job today. Just conversation you and I had on the floor this morning, just to relate to this committee, the judicial confirmations that will be coming through this committee as opposed to Civil Justice Committee. Could you tell us a little bit about those? I know we've had 2 Supreme Court justice proposed, as well as a Criminal Court of Appeals judge suggested as well, and just maybe talk about that process.
Certainly. Thank you for bringing that up. And members, I'm sure you've all been watching that closely, but there are 2 vacancies, one on the Supreme Court and one on the Criminal Court of Appeals. So as you know, we have two standing committees as opposed to one judiciary committee. We have a criminal justice and a civil justice committee. Civil justice, now being chaired by Chairman Farmer, will hear the Supreme Court nomination. And that, if members, I think all of you have participated in a confirmation hearing previous to now, but just in case you haven't, as a reminder, the governor's made his selection from the 3 recommendations that were sent to him, and then that nominee is then confirmed or not confirmed by the General Assembly. So the Supreme Court justice will go through civil justice, and I don't want to speak for Chairman Farmer, but I can speak to the Criminal Court of Appeals judge that will be coming through our committee. That hearing is already scheduled for next week. So that will be first order of business. You know, I don't know what the rest of the calendar will look like for that committee, but that'll be first order of business before we move to everything else that we have that day. And Chairman Farmer, I'd be happy if you want to weigh in as far as the process for the Supreme Court nominee.
Yeah, and we'll just follow what we've done historically. We'll bring the nominee up, recognize that nominee, allow that nominee to give a statement to the committee. Then we'll defer to the committee members for any questions that they may have towards that nominee. Have plenty of time, take our time doing that. And then and we'll just take a vote whether to recommend that we confirm or not confirm this the appointee to the House floor.
Chairman, did we miss anything from? Okay, very good. Leader Lamberth, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spontaneously wanted to applause for our new chairman, Chairman Farmer. I would like to ask just a procedural question here, since my understanding is, as our full committee chairman here, you are on Chairman Farmer's committee, and as the full committee chair there, he is on your committee. are we going to get in a situation where both of you are going to bring gavels and the rest of us are just confused as to who's driving this train? I want to make sure because I want to know who to look at.
Chairman Farmer, you're recognized.
Thank you. I defer to nunchucks.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah.
Members, anything else before the committee? I know we've had a good time with this today because we had a very light load. I will remind everybody, because you're all going to be on that committee, but Criminal Justice Sub is still meeting today. It's meeting at 5 o'clock. It's my understanding that we cannot just go straight into that, although that was an excellent suggestion. So at 5 o'clock, Criminal Justice Subcommittee will convene. Without any further business, we are adjourned.